Well, what about the Minister for Indigenous Australians, Linda Burney? I mean, she was largely ineffectual or ineffective in this campaign. I mean, should she share some of that blame as well?
The leadership of the country belongs to the Prime Minister. Other ministers were equally ineffective, you're right, Pete, because they couldn't answer questions. And we're here in Parliament for a week of question time. The last time we were here, none of our questions was answered. And of course, that was one of the reasons why people didn't understand what this referendum was about. But everywhere, every community I spoke to wanted to see how it might connect to improvements in Indigenous lives, in closing the gap in reconciliation. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And the Prime Minister is now saying, oh, we're going to worry about the cost of living. That's what we're going to focus on. He's leaving this wreckage behind him and not properly accepting responsibility for it. And now talking about the thing that all Australians have been feeling, hurting and wanting to see policies that are making a difference to the increases in electricity bills, the cost of groceries, the cost of mortgages and so on.
OK, some Labor MPs and the Greens this morning as well calling on the government to still pursue treaty and truth-telling. Should they do that, or should the priority be more action on the ground to close the gap?
I think the priority always has to be, as we've always said it needs to be, achieving practical initiatives that make a difference in the lives of Aboriginal people in this country. And that's not what this referendum appeared to be about to the Australian people. It was about a question, it was high level, it was technical, there was no detail about how it would connect to the real world and the real world experiences that we hear as rural and regional members and members who've worked with Indigenous communities for many years, as I have, in a policy sense, as a member of both the government and the opposition. So I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed for Indigenous Australians, and I do want to see what the government is going to do next to support those practical Indigenous outcomes, of which we have never stopped speaking about, Pete. We've always wanted that firmly to be the focus.
You need teal seats to get back into government, and they all overwhelmingly went with the Yes campaign. Are they now lost to you?
Not at all. And if you use that argument, seats like the seat of Linda Burney, which actually voted no, would, by your argument, perhaps come our way. So, no, this is a separate question with separate issues at stake. And we did see many Labor seats vote no, and vote no quite strongly.
OK. If you win the next election, will you still pursue a referendum on just constitutional recognition for Indigenous Australians?
Let's see the dust settle from this. I think when we finalise the count, we're already hearing, Pete, that the yes case is surprised by the really strong no vote. So we'll work through the detail of what happens next, and we'll do that in the context of our party room and the discussions we need to have following this result.
Okay. Just a final one here before you go, Sussan. Some good news from the Foreign Minister a short time ago. 3 more flights have left Tel Aviv overnight. That's a surprise. Only one was expected there, but there's been 3 in the end. Your reaction to that?
I'm pleased to see Australians being able to leave the region. It, of course, has been awful, unconscionable and monstrous to see the Hamas attack into southern Israel and the consequences which are still playing out. Of course, for our Australian citizens, many of whom are very anxious, it's important that they're able to leave and come home. And I expect that Simon Birmingham, our Foreign Affairs spokesperson, will receive further briefings from Penny Wong today.
OK. Sussan Ley, the Deputy Opposition Leader, thanks for your time.